Hi, today I'm going to speak about Keyshot, and I'm going to start from Rhino and just setting up the file well, so that way when you get into Keyshot, it's not um, in groups that you're not interested in having the same materials on. Everything has its own layer, everything has its own material, and you can easily input and output your models. From the beginning, I can start with uh, the the fact that Keyshot is great at taking models that are you don't have to like export out as an OBJ. You don't have to export it out as STL either. You can export it. I mean, you can save your 3D file as a clean file. Don't save like one that has a ton of layers and blocks and stuff. Just as clean as possible, like this, where all you see is building, water, glass, lights, and minimal layering. That way you don't have to deal with all the mess that a regular model has. Only save one model in a clean 3D space. So you're gonna start with sparsing out. I'm actually going to take this, select objects, and change. I can just delete this. But oh, this is why. I'm interested in having these two glasses in the same. So right now I have like glass 1, glass 2, because I want them to be like regular versus frosted. So you want to think about those type of materials too. You can export out a model with textures, or save a model with textures already, and most likely Keyshot will be able to extract those textures. Sometimes it won't, and you can re-input them at least. So once you have a pretty clean model, try to make sure that you preempt any decisions that you need to do in Keyshot. So the first one is lights. So I would create a sphere in a light layer, and just put it wherever you think it should go. So I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to export, not export, yeah, export, actually. Just lights as a 3D file. You can save textures if you need to. And that's it. So once you have your files in line, so I have this one also as a another file that actually goes on top of this one. We can start with making sure that everything is in its place. That way you don't get into Keyshot and all of a sudden your model is like 10 feet away from where it's supposed to be. So once we start with Keyshot, this is the interface you'll see. You'll actually see it like this. When you first download it and first start using it, everything is hidden. So it's a little bit harder. At first, everyone starts questioning like where everything is. So the first thing I want you to do is open library and project. You don't really need anything else but those two. You can X out of this, and all the materials are gonna be on the left. You're gonna start with seeing this. So this is where also people are confused, like where are the materials? It's all the way to the right. And you can look at every material, or you can look at all materials together. So colors are here. There's textures for texture mapping. There's backgrounds and environments here. And this is the studio environment right here that I have. I'm going to start with just a white one. And I'm going to drag it over because I don't want the gray background in my renders, which sometimes people do want. So I'm going to start with this. And the first thing that you're gonna see is, so I just dragged in a 3D file, by the way, a Rhino file. So you're gonna start with, you're gonna see this. And you're gonna want this center geometry and snap to ground to be off. And you're gonna want to keep position relative to native origin. This is very important for you to be able to layer your models in if you forgot to do something, or if you forgot to design something, or you want to see it rendered really quickly, but then you want to keep adding on to it. You're going to want Z up, and then import cameras. I forgot to say is that when you have your name views, so like program diagram or like top view or axon or any type of view, you're going to want those saved already and done in Rhino. So that way when you come into Keyshot, you import cameras and all the cameras will be here. So you can just click and you don't have to set anything. Sometimes the files get really heavy in Keyshot. So you want to minimize as much as possible how you move the model around. Don't move the model in Keyshot. It's really just not worth it. You can unlink materials by layer. It doesn't really matter because you're already doing everything by layer. My materials. So everything else is good. And then import. This is okay. It's just saying that there's like a wood texture that I couldn't load because it didn't have it in my I had exported it from another computer and didn't have it in my computer right now. So everything, the first thing you're gonna see is that everything comes in with its own texture already linked. So like this is the water right here, which you can start with. You can double click on it and, you know, mess with it. Actually make it into the water. And that's the cool thing about doing stuff in Rhino is that you can export it into here. The bad thing is that sometimes it doesn't come out well, so you want to re-input. So you're gonna want to see the scene on the right. So here are your cameras, top, front, right. It exports out already like the regular cameras from Rhino, plus the program diagram one that I already. So here the model sets, everything's gonna be hidden, but once you open it up, you should be able to see all the glass, the water, building. And that's really important because so everything, every little piece in the building is here, and you'll see all the details. You can still select the portions of the space that you want, but I would refrain from that unless you really have to. So I'm gonna just take that layer, the building layer. And there's two ways to drag a material on. So I'm gonna start with, I'm just gonna do a regular drywall just because I want to input a texture onto it and I just want to start with something simple. So you can either drag onto here, onto the thing, and you see the color changing of everything that's gonna change based on that color. Or you can do it here on the layer and it'll also change. So whichever way you input, I like inputting straight onto the model, but this is also helpful when you have a bunch of stuff and it can't detect the object that you actually want. So I'm gonna go with glass. I'm just gonna go with this glass. That's fine. And this glass. Material with the same names, or do you want to link these materials? Usually that happens when you're dragging the same material over again. Yes, if you want both of these to be the same exact. So like if you change this one changes. No, if you want two different glass materials, one that is more bluish or like one that's more rough or whatever. Right now I'm just gonna say yes because I want both of them the same. It doesn't matter. And we're gonna go into liquids. I'm gonna do basic. There's bubbles, displaced and textured. Displaced and texture is what you want for water that moves, but I don't want it to bog down my computer right now for the purposes of the tutorial. So I'm just going to go with this one instead. Let's do a path, concrete. I'm going to do this path, and I want more water. Where's my water? There's lawn. So the cool part is that you can actually see, you can tell it how tall the lawn can be, like, or short. So grass. And I'm going to do wood. Let's do rough wood here. And then glass again. But I'm going to do frosted in this one. Where do I want to? Going to do it there. Done. So now that we've changed everything, well, not everything, I just left that black, but that's okay. I'm going to start with the drywall. So here in the materials palette, I can do drywall, or you can be unseen, and then if it has drywall here, just double click, and you'll have properties, position, materials. And if you hit on position, then you can move the object if you want to. There'll be a gumball somewhere, or you can change the position here. But for materials, so I rather do go to here to properties and then edit material. And you'll be here. So here is your the actual drywall, and then it'll have properties, textures, so it'll have already a bump on it, which is fractal, and it'll have some more labels. This is more advanced. So for now, it only has a color, it doesn't have a texture. So I'm going to open this. This is gonna be, well, actually, let's start with this. So I'm gonna get rid of bump. I'm gonna double click on color. I'm going to get my texture here. We're gonna start with this. So right now everything is kind of all over the place, right? Right now as a box texture, you'll see it here. You can do sphere, planar. You can move texture around. So once you click on it, it'll move. And you can rotate. So that way things match a little bit more. Because I want this corner to have that. And everything else is fine. But see how everything's kind of matching a little bit better now that I rotated it. And you can click on move texture again, it'll go away. Then here's width and height. Want it to be bigger. And there's shift, so you can shift things around if this is not working so well with box. It's more for here's angle. It's more for planar surfaces or planar mapping. So you can flip horizontal, vertical. You can repeat or not repeat. And if I don't repeat, it'll just go white, as you can see on the left. And then you can actually play around with the color. So like brightness, contrast. Yeah, I want it to be a little brighter. I don't know. You can blend with color. So if you want to change the color a little bit, make it red. Make it blue. I'm gonna keep it regular for now. So use embedded color profile, and then so I want to add a bump, and there's two ways to do that. I'm gonna delete I right click to delete, double click, and I'm gonna add a black and white version. That will give me a bump. So if we zoom in, you'll see a little bit of a bump. It's actually kind of breaking it, which I don't really want. So I'm not gonna add the bump. And then get rid of it. So the next thing we're gonna do is a displacement map. So you want material graph. Material graph gets a little bit overwhelming at first, but it's actually pretty simple. Don't get discouraged about it. So material is this, which is what is being output. Colors, diffuse. It can be a lot of things, but diffuse is one of them. And you want it to tie it to the surface. Then there's texture map, which is the color one. And here's the bump, right? Which is the white, black and white. So the black and white bump, I'm gonna get rid of it. I don't want it. And I'm gonna delete it. Then the geometry will be my displacement. So because I want my displacement, I'm gonna go up to the top to nodes and geometry displays. So see how it says it correlates? It's like geometry. So that's where you're gonna see so then here's material and see how it's like diffuse material, or you can do glass material. So you could put glass here and then connect this to the surface instead. So I'm going to do this place and it's gonna connect to geometry. I need a texture for it. So even though I deleted the other one, I'm gonna show you, you can actually click on this thing and then I'm gonna do the black and white again. I'm gonna put it here in this place. So now that I have that, the last thing I need to show you is that the box mapping, it won't correlate with each other. It'll have two different types of box mapping. You don't want to have to like go back and forth and try and match them up. So this is very important. Go to nodes, utilities, mapping 2D. I'm gonna put it here to this and then to this. That way you can control the mapping here instead of over here, and it'll all be the same. So now that we're here, you can do geometry nodes. So this just kind of resets everything. So that way it updates. If there's no change here, then it'll update it. Okay. We're here now. So we're gonna go here and we're gonna double click just the way that we double click here to go into this. Same thing. So double click. Displacement height right now is 100. I want it to be, so see how it stops? It doesn't mean that's it. See how it keeps going? Type it in instead. And it'll keep going. It doesn't have a limit, it just seems like it has a limit. It's a weird Keyshot thing. Not sure why they haven't fixed it. It's been years with that. So when it doesn't update is because you need to execute your geometry. Oh, I forgot to say. So see how the displacement map is not correlating with the actual texture. So what's happening is that I put the node, which is great, but I need to double click into this. And I need to go into box and node. And then box for the second one, node. And that's how I get it to do the 2D mapping on both. See how it's kind of all over the place now? That's because now I have to double click into mapping, go here, and then I can go back to what I wanted. See how it stopped? I can just do 20, maybe more. Let's do more, 30. Great. And then I need to move texture again, because that's what I did last time. And that's that. There we go. And then I can move up. Or maybe I like it. So that's it. You can always reset it if you want to go back to what you had before. So now that we are here, we're going to go back to the displace because it hasn't updated. You're going to execute geometry again. So really looking kind of interesting. You can always have the displacement not correlating to the painting. That's also okay. It's just for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to be correlating it. So see how the walls are kind of breaking? That's because I don't have a closed object. And so it is, instead of taking everything with it, it's kind of just not. So make sure that you're not extracting surfaces and stuff. It's a completely closed object. And also make sure that the mapping that you are using has enough of a contrast for it to understand the height, and that way you don't have to break it with like a 500 displacement height. You can just do maybe like a 50 and it'd be fine. So I'm gonna do that. Okay. And because I moved it again, you can execute geometry again. So, but I'm not gonna do it again. You can close out of this now. We're where we want to be. For the purposes of the tutorial, I'm gonna leave it like that, but obviously it shouldn't be all broken. The last thing I wanted to say is, so this is kind of nice. It's coming out. So if I want to add another thing, like a light, see how we have the same thing again. Make sure everything is the same. Keep position relative, Z. I don't want it to import cameras unless you want to import new cameras. That's also okay. Just because it'll double the cameras that are already here. And that is good. Import. This is okay. Don't worry about it. Sometimes it does that. It likes doing that. So I have this is a previous file, so that's why I have so if you can't click on the model, it means that you're probably in materials. So you can go back to scene and click on it. I can do a move tool. I can do scale. Okay. See how it gets a little bit wonky doing any moving on here. So you want to have the thing that you want in here already. So I have my second light in here actually. So we're gonna test that. Here are my lights. So here's my model, which I don't need anymore. I'm gonna just stick to the lights. And oh, by the way, it can import environments from Rhino as well. So which light do I want? Not that one. So it's this one. So this is the one that's in here. Yeah, there it is. So I'm gonna add a material. So double click into it, and I'm gonna just do this and go into lights on the left. I'm gonna do an area light. There you go. So since this is glass, it should show up once I get it going. So if your model is getting a little bit heavy, you can also do performance mode and it'll just take out all the shadows. So I'm gonna And then you can also pause it from rendering. So if I just pause it here, you can pause it from rendering, but you just can't move it around. So performance node is really good. I'm going to, actually, I need to see through that glass. So I'm going to do a basic gray here. Okay, perfect. So now that I have this light already on here, area light, sometimes you can't see it, so you can just give it more power. And sometimes you have to give it a lot more power. See it now. So I just kept adding zeros until it gave me more power. There we go. It's doing it. And it's getting very heavy. Oops, not what I wanted. I want a performance node. So performance mode won't let you do a light, but you can at least move your scene and then you can unclick it. That way you don't have to worry about moving around with everything. So you can change the color here. So right now it's cool light. Maybe I want a warm light. You can do apply to a geometry. You can do visible or not visible. Sometimes maybe I don't want it. I don't want to see the light, but I just want the light shining. You can do visible and shadows, which is here, but no. So that would be like a mirror. Visible and reflections. So maybe I don't want visible and reflections because I just want the light to hit. And here's samples of like rendering and stuff. Texture, if you want a texture on it, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do like a mesh texture and stuff like that. So see, this is what I'm saying. It's like very, very heavy. So I'm gonna take performance mode. I'm gonna turn it off or turn it on. So that's pretty much the gist of it. You should be able to add a light, to add a texture, and do a more kind of diagrammatic model or something that you're exploring. There's cameras here as well. So they show up here, but they also show up here. Environment, here's your actual environment. So if you had a more complex environment like a city or whatever, you can edit the environment here. You can make it brighter, and then it makes the entire model brighter. You can add contrast, and you can do like size if the background has like something. Change the color. So if I want the color to be pink, I don't know. I'm gonna go back to white, and then ground shadows and stuff like that. So you can pretty much edit almost like in Photoshop in Keyshot. That's also why it's so great. There's a lot of less post-production. So here you can do interior if you're gonna do an interior image, environment lighting, general lighting, render. So you can just mess around with those and try them out. And then here you can get your resolution of your image and whether it's basic or photographic. That will give you like different types. Maybe I want this to be, I don't know. Kind of would like it to be something red. Maybe that's, ooh, yeah, look at that. So brighter, done. So now I have a red lit model. So here in image, you can do pretty much what you do in Photoshop. So if you want to, yeah, look at that. That's nice. So now you can see the light hitting the actual displacement. So this is why displacement is so important, because it wouldn't really do it in bump if it was just bump. it doesn't really mess with the light the way that it actually does with this. And displacement is actually geometry based. So this could eventually be exported out as a geometry. And you can continue just messing around with the curve, oops, I need to enable it. Curve. Yeah, look at that. That already kind of looks like a game. Really into this light. Hopefully you'll have as much fun as I am. Okay, so yeah, here lights, you can mess around with the lights. Okay. I think you can just keep going down and seeing like what you want to see, and try not to do it too hyper realistic. Right now I'm kind of doing more of an animated, colorful thing. So now with rendering, you're gonna want to hit render, and there's a few things. So name your file or the render image. So image render 1. And this is okay. You can mess with this if you have any idea how this is. So it's going into Keyshot renderings right now. So make sure you change it into something else. If you don't want it to be into Keyshot renderings. So I'm gonna change it to my desktop just because it's okay. I'm only doing one as a test. And here I'm gonna do a PNG and include alpha transparency. So that this is so it cuts out all of the background. I don't want the background and the floor. The resolution, you want the resolution to be at least maybe more. 1900 is great. If it's too, actually look at that, it's print size. It's not that big. So let's do bigger. I'm gonna do 18. Yeah, 18 by 15. Great. You want at least 5,000 by 4,000. You can also lower this. I wouldn't lower it more than 200. Because then it just is not as great as the quality. But now you can actually lower this to 18, and then the pixel size will be lower as well. So that way it kind of takes a little less time to render. Here you can have passes. I would always have clown apparently is the equivalent as a material ID in Keyshot. It's really weird. There's global illumination, diffuse lighting. There's a lot of things. So just make sure you want the things you want. You can also try them all and then see what happens. And if you don't want them all, you can just start taking out. There's region renders. So if you want a specific region, you can. I'm not going to do that right now. And that should be good. The options here, they're great because, so Q, this is great because you, if you want like a bunch of different images, you can do add job or add cameras. If everything is the same lighting and same everything, then just add all cameras, and that's great. If you, and you can see it right now. So if you, right now I don't have it in a camera specifically, I just kind of moved it around, so I'm not going to do that. There's add job. So it'll add job here, and it'll queue everything, and you can continue, you can close this up, and you can continue moving things around, and then it'll go back to, it'll still have that, and you can move it. And I'm gonna move it to here, and I'm gonna do render, I'm gonna do add job. But the bad thing is that if you don't do that, if you do this and you don't have it saved as camera, then you know what that means. Like you can't really get the exact angle again. So just make sure that this is what you want. Otherwise, add cameras are better. You can do the camera over here, have it set added to queue if it's like each image is different. So last thing is options. This is very important because default is you can render it, but you can't move around or anything. Background is it will take part of your CPU and it will render in the background while you can actually work on your model. Now, if your model is very heavy, it's gonna be really hard. CPU usage, I'm just using everything, but some of you can't. So that's, and if you have an even better one, real time, maximum samples, custom control. Okay, so here you can mess with samples and pixel filter size, or you can do maximum time. So right now it's at 30 seconds. The cool thing about this is that, okay, so see how it's like kind of not rendered and then it's rendering over time. You can tell how much you need in a render just by the fact that I'm sitting here looking at it for 10 seconds and I'm already seeing that there's still denoising needing to be done and stuff. That means it's gonna take maybe, see, it's like been another 10 seconds, it's gotten a little bit better, but most of the image is pretty good. So I might need more time, right, than just 20 seconds that I just spent talking. So for here, custom control, you can actually, like, if you really know your stuff, then this is great for you. It's just like V-Ray in a lot of senses. So here's 30 seconds. I'm just gonna do, I can do a minute, but for the purposes of my tutorial, I'm gonna do 10 seconds, just so you can see what it actually renders out. Pixel filter size, so it's just how much you want to filter. The default is fine most of the time, unless you really want to deal with it. And I'm gonna do it in the background so I can move around if I want to, and set up the next render. Render in background, and so it takes a bit to start. Once it starts, so it pauses the image for a second. Once it starts, then it'll start rendering in background. I'm gonna X out of this. I'm not gonna pause it. Let's see how it's a lot slower now because it's just using all of my power in my computer. While it's rendering, I think this is the render. Okay, I'm gonna pause it so that way it just renders well. So while it's rendering, I'm gonna speak to you about this. Photoshop. What I was mentioning was, so first I kind of was able to close that loop to do this normal out of, not normal, but this bump map out of the regular image. So I just added a brightness contrast layer, messed around with it, tried to make it as contrasty as possible. A levels layer helped also here. Curves, hue, saturation also works too. So it's just like, depends on whatever you want the bump to be at. So that's how I got the image to be very, very contrasty for the displacement. So I'm going to get rid of that for now. But actually, I'm just gonna leave it in the background. I'm gonna lock it. And then this one, so let's say you want to create a seamless texture. And if you do this, you're gonna see that seam, right? And you don't want that, especially when you apply it to a model. So this is where I'm going to take, actually, I wanna move here. I'm going to take this, and from the same image, and I'm just gonna or take a little portion of it. More than a little portion. And I'm going to select and then move. I'm holding shift so it's in the same place, connected to here. Now you see you're seeing the non-seamlessness of it. Taking this one, also moving it here. You just need two sides. I'm just doing top and side. Now I'm gonna do stamp, which is right here, or clone. I'm gonna hit S for a shortcut if you want, and then there's option. So hold option. I'm gonna hold option, and this is a very blurry image, but for our purposes, it's fine. So I'm gonna hold option, and that's how you're gonna clone. So I want to clone from here. I don't want to clone from here, because if you clone from here, it's gonna repeat the same thing. See how it's repeating? I'm gonna clone from here. I want it to be kind of different. So I'm gonna mess with it a little bit. This kind of looks pretty well, so I'm not gonna mess with it too much. Yeah, it's pretty good. And then sometimes you just need a little bit just to finish it, and that's okay too. So, and I'm gonna fix this part with this leaf. Perfect. And if you do that where you're kind of stamping and it's cloning kind of at the same area, just fix it with another one. Go to another area, take from that. The good thing about texture mapping is that you're not gonna see as much of it. It's not gonna be perfect, and that's okay. Unless you need it to be exactly perfect, then you should be using a different tool at that point. See how I did that? To avoid that, you want to I'm gonna do one, I'm gonna do this. So that way it selects the outside. And I'm gonna select inverse. So it selects the inside. That way when I clone, it doesn't go outside. Because if you go outside, then it's not a perfect scene. Right? So now that I fixed mostly everything, it's good enough for this tutorial. If I do this, it should match. There we go. So this matches, that matches, that matches, and this matches. So once you start creating the texture, you should be pretty good. So going back to Keyshot, something I wanted to say was save. And here it's gonna ask you save package or save. You want to save package. Save is just like if for some reason you move materials around something, or you move the Keyshot around, or your Keyshot license expires, or something happens, you're gonna lose everything. So you want to always save a package first. So that way it's a KSB. That way you have everything in the same place, and you just double click on it and it'll open the same way as a regular file. So we need to go to desktop, right? And this is where the image is. This, I only gave it 10 seconds, so this is as good as 10 seconds can do. Pretty good for it being 10 seconds. I also don't have heavy materials. Here's clown. So clown is the material ID. So now you can see how it like actually did the material ID for the bump as well. You can, or the displacement, I mean, you can wand in Photoshop each material, so that way you can fix things if you need to and stuff like that. It even does the light as well. And I think that's it. let me know if you have any questions, and or if I didn't touch on something specific that you want to explore. Thanks.